The silence protocol. The communication array hummed with its usual background noise, but Captain Elena Vasquez knew something was terribly wrong. For 72 hours, the massive receivers at Earth's Deep Space Communications Center had been picking up nothing but static from the outer colonies. Not a whisper from New Geneva, humanity's pride and joy among the stars. Not a single transmission from any of the 14 human settlements beyond the solar system. Elena stared at the wall of monitors displaying empty frequency channels. Each screen should have been alive with routine traffic, colony status reports, family messages, trade communications. Instead, they showed only the cold dance of cosmic interference. Her fingers moved across the control panel with practiced precision, adjusting settings, boosting signal strength, trying every trick she had learned in 20 years of stellar communications. Still nothing. Dr. Marcus Webb approached her station, carrying 2 cups of coffee. His usually cheerful face was drawn with exhaustion. As Earth's chief cryptographer, Marcus had been working alongside Elena since the silence began, trying to decode any hidden messages in the static. Complete radio silence from all outer colonies, Elena replied, accepting the coffee gratefully. It's like they all just stopped existing at the same time. The door to the communications center slid open with a soft hiss. Admiral Chen Nakamura entered, his military bearing rigid with tension. Behind him walked a figure that made Elena's blood run cold. Ambassador Cathfar of the Hegemony, the galactic alliance that supposedly protected younger species like humanity. Cathfar was tall and elegant, like most of his species, with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the artificial lights. His 4 arms moved in graceful gestures as he spoke, and his voice carried the musical quality typical of hegemony diplomats. Captain Vasquez, Admiral Nakamura said formally, Ambassador Cathfar has come to offer the hegemony's assistance in locating our missing colonies. Elena stood and offered a respectful nod to the alien ambassador. Something in his large, dark eyes bothered her, though she couldn't put her finger on what. Your colonies face many dangers in the outer regions, Cathfar said, his words flowing like silk. Pirate raids, stellar anomalies, equipment failures. The hegemony has vast experience in search and rescue operations. We offer our advanced scanning technology to help locate your missing people. That's very generous, Elena replied carefully. Have your sensors detected anything unusual in the sectors where our colonies are located? Sadly, no, Cathfar's head tilted in what might have been sympathy. The void between stars holds many secrets. Sometimes, entire settlements simply vanish without trace. After the ambassador left with promises of hegemony support, Elena turned to Marcus. Did you notice anything strange about him? You mean besides the fact that he didn't seem surprised by 14 colonies going silent at once? Marcus lowered his voice. Elena, I've been analyzing the timeline. Every single colony stopped transmitting within a 6-hour window. That's not pirates or equipment failure. Elena felt ice form in her stomach. That's coordinated action. Exactly. Someone wanted our outer settlements neutralized quickly and quietly. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. She returned to the communications center, running diagnostic after diagnostic on the equipment. Everything was functioning perfectly. The silence wasn't caused by technical problems on Earth's end. As she sat in the dim light of the control room, surrounded by softly glowing displays, she began to notice something odd. The static wasn't completely random. There were patterns, subtle variations in the cosmic background noise that her trained ear was beginning to recognize. She pulled up the audio analysis software and began filtering the signals. Most static was truly random, but buried in the noise from the direction of New Geneva, she found something that made her heart race. There was structure in the chaos, repeating sequences that were too regular to be natural interference. Someone was trying to send a message through the static itself. Elena worked through the night, isolating the pattern, amplifying the signal, running it through every decryption algorithm she knew. By dawn, she had decoded 3 words that sent chills down her spine. Hill PUS hidden. The message was coming from New Geneva, transmitted at such low power that it was barely detectable above background radiation. Someone there was alive, hiding, and desperately trying to communicate without being detected. Elena immediately called Admiral Nakamura and Marcus to an emergency meeting in the secure briefing room. The three of them sat around a small table as Elena played the decoded message. "They're alive," she said, her voice tight with emotion. "At least some of them. But they're hiding from something, and they're terrified of being detected." Admiral Nakamura leaned forward. "Can you establish two-way communication?" "Not safely. If they're hiding, a strong signal from Earth might give away their position. But I can keep monitoring for more hidden messages." Over the next 12 hours, Elena picked up fragments of additional transmissions hidden in the static. Each one added to a horrifying picture. Shayapi says, "EVURI we wear. Take in, alive. Work campus. ADGUMONUI NVUOVID." The final piece of the puzzle came when Elena detected a longer message, this one from the direction of humanity's mining colony, at Kepler 442 bits. The signal was weak, but clear once decoded. Earth BUVAR stop AEGMONI betrayal. Stop humans ENCLAVD stop preparing invasion. Stop trust. No one stop. Elena stared at the decoded text, her hands shaking. The hegemony, humanity's supposed protectors and allies, had orchestrated the capture of every human settlement beyond the solar system. 14 colonies, over 2 million people, taken as slaves to work in hidden facilities. And now they were preparing to finish the job by taking Earth itself. "We have to warn the government," Marcus said when Elena showed him the message. "Who can we trust?" Elena replied, "If the hegemony has been planning this for months or years, they might have people everywhere. We need proof that can't be denied or suppressed." Admiral Nakamura was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked up with grim determination. "There is a way. Project Lazarus." Elena had heard rumors of Project Lazarus, a top-secret Earth defense initiative that supposedly prepared for the worst-case scenario. She had never believed it was real. "Project Lazarus exists," Nakamura continued. "It was designed for exactly this situation. If Earth ever faced an enemy too powerful to fight directly, we would use deception instead of force." "What kind of deception?" Marcus asked. "We make them think they've won while we prepare our real response." "Elena, your communication skills are essential to the plan. We need you to help us send the most important message in human history." Elena felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. 2 million humans were counting on Earth to save them. Humanity's survival depended on what happened in the next few days. "What do you need me to do?" Admiral Nakamura activated a secure terminal and began outlining Project Lazarus. The plan was audacious, desperate, and brilliant all at once. It would require Elena to risk everything, including her own life. But as she listened to the details, Elena realized it might be humanity's only chance. The hegemony had made one critical mistake in their betrayal. They had underestimated human intelligence, human creativity, and the human ability to turn apparent weakness into ultimate strength. They were about to learn why humanity had survived and thrived in a hostile galaxy. Elena looked at the star charts showing the locations of the captured colonies. 2 million humans were waiting for rescue. Earth's 60 billion people were facing an invasion they didn't even know was coming. But Elena Vasquez, communications officer turned unlikely savior, was about to show the galaxy what humans could do when they stopped playing by everyone else's rules. She began composing what would either be humanity's surrender or its greatest victory. The message that would echo across the stars and change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The silence protocol was about to become humanity's loudest roar. The echo of defiance. 3 days later, Elena Vasquez stood before the most powerful transmission array ever built on Earth. Project Lazarus had been activated, and the planet hummed with hidden activity. What appeared to be panicked preparation for surrender was actually humanity's most sophisticated deception. The hegemony fleet had arrived at the edge of the solar system, exactly as the intercepted messages had predicted. 300 massive warships, each one capable of destroying entire cities. To any observer, Earth appeared helpless against such overwhelming force. Ambassador Kethvar had returned to Earth's surface, no longer bothering to hide his species' true intentions. His elegant features now carried an expression of cold satisfaction as he delivered the hegemony's ultimatum. Surrender unconditionally, and your species will be allowed to serve the greater galactic community, he announced to the assembled Earth leaders. Resist, and share the fate of your outer colonies. Belina watched the proceedings through a secure video link from the communications center. Everything was going according to plan. The hegemony believed they held all the advantages. They were about to discover how wrong they were. Elena, Admiral Nakamura's voice came through her earpiece. It's time. Send the surrender message. Elena's fingers moved across the controls of the massive transmission array. To anyone monitoring Earth's communications, she was preparing to broadcast humanity's unconditional surrender to the entire galaxy. The message would be sent on all frequencies, reaching every civilization within 100 light years. But hidden within the surrender broadcast, encoded using techniques that even the hegemony's advanced computers couldn't detect, was humanity's real message. Beginning transmission in 10 seconds, Elena announced. Her heart pounded as she thought about what she was about to unleash. The surrender message began exactly as the hegemony expected. Elena's voice, artificially processed to sound defeated and desperate, filled the communication channels. This is Captain Elena Vasquez of Earth Defense Communications. On behalf of the human species, we acknowledge the superiority of the hegemony forces. We surrender unconditionally and request mercy for our people. Across the galaxy, alien civilizations listened to what they believed was humanity's final submission. Many felt pity for the young species that had dared to challenge the hegemony's authority. But Elena's real audience wasn't the aliens listening to her voice. Hidden in the quantum fluctuations of the transmission itself, invisible to conventional scanners, was a completely different message. This signal was designed to be received by specialized equipment that had been secretly installed throughout human space over the past decade. The real message was simple but devastating. Lazarus pero toxiol active. Execuki mmnediatli. The response was instantaneous. On 14 different worlds where humans had supposedly been wiped out, hidden installations suddenly came to life. These weren't weapons in any conventional sense. They were communication arrays, each one disguised as natural geological formations or abandoned mining equipment. The installations had been built in secret years before the colonies were established, part of a defense plan so classified that even most government officials didn't know it existed. Every human settlement had been constructed around these hidden facilities. When the hegemony had attacked the colonies, they had captured the visible settlements but completely missed the underground networks that housed the real strategic assets. Now, as Elena's hidden signal reached each installation, they began broadcasting simultaneously. Dr. Marcus Webb, monitoring the galactic communication networks from Earth, watched in amazement as his screens lit up with activity. Elena, it's working. Every hidden station is transmitting. The hidden installations weren't just sending random signals. They were broadcasting detailed evidence of the hegemony's crimes across the galaxy. Video recordings of the attacks on human colonies, audio transmissions revealing the conspiracy, financial records showing how the hegemony had been enslaving multiple species for decades. But most importantly, they were broadcasting the locations of every secret hegemony facility, including the prison camps where captured humans were being held. The effect on galactic civilization was immediate and explosive. Species that had been secretly oppressed by the hegemony for generations suddenly realized they weren't alone. Civilizations that had mysteriously lost colonies began to understand what had really happened to their people. Within hours, The galactic communication networks were flooded with messages of outrage and demands for justice. Alina continued her false surrender broadcast, but she could see the confusion growing on Ambassador Kethfar's face as reports reached him from across the galaxy. The hegemony's secret empire was being exposed in real time. Then came the second phase of Project Lazarus. Alina. Admiral Nakamura's voice was tight with excitement. The colonies are reporting in. All of them. On Alina's screens, communication channels that had been silent for days suddenly came alive with transmissions from every human settlement. The colonists hadn't been captured or killed. They had been evacuated to the hidden underground facilities when the hegemony attack began. For 72 hours, over 2 million humans had lived in concealed shelters, waiting for the signal to emerge and strike back. Now they were rising from their hiding places, armed with weapons and technology that the hegemony had never suspected humans possessed. The mining colonies revealed themselves to be military installations. The agricultural settlements unveiled hidden shipyards. The research stations activated defensive systems that had been disguised as scientific equipment. Alina's false surrender had given humanity the perfect cover to position their real forces exactly where they needed to be. "This is Colonel Sarah Chen of New Geneva Defense Force," came a strong voice over the communication channel. "Hegemony prison facility at coordinates 77 Alpha is now under human control. All captured personnel have been liberated." Similar reports poured in from across human space. Every hegemony facility, every secret installation, every hidden prison camp was being simultaneously liberated by human forces that weren't supposed to exist. Ambassador Kethfar was now receiving frantic transmissions from the hegemony fleet commander. Their overwhelming military advantage had evaporated in minutes. The human colonies they thought they had destroyed were revealing themselves to be the most sophisticated military network the galaxy had ever seen. Alina ended her false surrender broadcast and activated the final phase of Project Lazarus. "This is Captain Alina Vasquez of Earth Defense Communications," she announced, her voice now strong and clear. "I have a message for the hegemony and all who would threaten human space." Her words were being broadcast on every frequency, reaching every corner of the galaxy. "You made one mistake in your calculations. You assumed that humanity would fight like every other species you've encountered. You expected us to meet force with force, to fight your ships with our ships, your weapons with our weapons." Alina paused, knowing that millions of beings across the galaxy were listening. "But humans don't just fight with weapons. We fight with our minds. We fight with patience. We fight with the one thing you never expected us to use against you: the truth." The communication channels filled with responses from across the galaxy. Species after species was declaring independence from hegemony rule. The galactic rebellion Alina had sparked was spreading faster than any military could contain. "The evidence of your crimes is now in the hands of every civilized species in the galaxy," Alina continued. "Your secret empire built on slavery and oppression is finished. This is not conquest. This is liberation." Alina looked at the screen showing the hegemony fleet at the edge of the solar system. The massive warships that had seemed so threatening hours ago were now surrounded by vessels from dozens of species, all united against their former oppressors. To those who would follow the hegemony's example, Alina's voice carried across the stars. "Remember this day. Remember that humanity doesn't just survive. We help others survive too. We don't just defend ourselves. We defend those who cannot defend themselves." The rebellion Alina had triggered was spreading beyond anything Project Lazarus had anticipated. Species that had been enemies for generations were working together to dismantle the hegemony's oppressive network. As reports continued to pour in from across the galaxy, Alina realized that humanity had done more than save itself. They had liberated dozens of civilizations and fundamentally changed the balance of power among the stars. Dr. Marcus Webb approached Alina's station with a smile wider than she had seen in years. "The Hegemony Council is requesting immediate peace negotiations. They're offering full reparations and the dissolution of their military forces." Alina nodded, But her attention was focused on a different message that had just appeared on her screen. It was from Colonel Sarah Chen at New Geneva. "Alina, the colonists want you to know something. When we were hiding in those shelters for 3 days, the thing that kept us going was knowing that Earth hadn't abandoned us. Knowing that someone like you was fighting to bring us home." Alina felt tears forming in her eyes. The past week had shown humanity's capacity for deception and strategic thinking, but it had also revealed something more important: their refusal to leave anyone behind. The galaxy would remember this day not just as the end of the hegemony's rule, but as the moment when humanity announced its presence among the stars, not as conquerors, but as liberators. Alina looked out at the displays showing human colonies across the galaxy, all of them now free and broadcasting messages of hope to their neighbors. The silence protocol had become something far greater than anyone had imagined. It had become the echo of defiance that would resonate throughout the galaxy for generations to come. Humanity had found its voice among the stars, and that voice spoke of freedom, unity, and the unbreakable human spirit that could turn apparent defeat into ultimate victory.